Welcome to the Mentor Podcast, where the most highly motivated entrepreneurs come to get their weekly dose of financial stability with host Ron LeGrand, as well as other nationally recognized thought leaders who will teach you how to get, grow, and protect your wealth.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Ron LeGrand, back for another episode of the Mentor Podcast. And on this one, I thought we'd do something a little different. Because of the big number of requests we got a few weeks ago, we did a 2-hour nothing but Q&A from our students because they kept requesting it, and that went over very well. We couldn't even get them all in 2 hours, so we keep getting questions from you. So I decided, well, let's go ahead and put them in the podcast. So we're going to do a few podcasts, and I answer them for 30 minutes at a time. So here goes the first one, and stay tuned for more later.
All right. So from what I understand is you're going to read me the questions, and then I'm going to answer them. And we got a ton of them, right? So
yeah, we got a lot of questions. We did ask people to submit by video. We unfortunately only got 2 of you to submit video questions. The rest of you type in your answers. But
so what's the matter? You guys are afraid of what you look like or what? Huh? This is your chance to get famous, and you blew it, except for a couple of you. All right. Well, I'm sitting here in my home and just ready to get out of here and get back to live events where the real action takes place. And so let's address that here first, Nick.
Okay.
I don't know when our next live event is. I got a feeling it's not going to be that far away. We're doing a quick start school, week after next, I think, right? Virtually?
Right.
And it's going to be a 4-day event this time because we are going to film the ugly house part where Jay and Connor and I are going to go into the houses and film exactly like we do if we were on the bus trip. In fact, even be better because we can take our time and we can get more stuff in and not trucking people around and so forth. So we're actually are going to have a 4th day on this virtual training, but it's still not like being out there and being in the houses, but it's the best we can do for now. We will do that live. We have one scheduled for the end of June, but I don't know if we're going to make that or not. Probably not. It's not about getting people in a hotel. We can do that here in Florida. It's about how do you get 50 people on a bus and spread them out. And we haven't figured that one out yet. So we don't have a bus stretcher. So we'll be doing that event live as soon as we can. And you'll be told. We've also got a commercial property boot camp coming up on June the 30th. It will be virtual. And the next one's not till late in the fall. So that one will be live by that time. First time I've ever done a virtual commercial property boot camp. So
a lot of firsts right now, Ron.
Yeah, I got that right. In fact, you think about it, everything's changing. The way you do business is changing. The way you think about business is changing. I know it certainly has for us at Global because all of our team is working from home except for those who take vacations. But look, he's even working from vacation location, which you can't do if you're in an office all day.
Right.
So our whole team is working. We got getting a lot done, and it kind of forced us to do business differently. So we'll be doing a lot more virtual stuff than we have been doing in the past. So I hope you guys are staying safe out there. But I'm of the mind that staying safe is one thing, but actually getting out here and getting active and getting back into the world of business is something else. There's a balancing act there, but I think it's time for us to go back to work. So let's go ahead and get started, Nick. And if you're watching this today, I assume you know who we are, who I am. If you don't, and you stumbled on here by accident, I'm Ron LeGrand. I've been around forever. This is my 38th year or 39th year? I can't remember anymore.
You've been doing it 38 years. You're in your 39th year now.
Oh my God. Oh, gee whiz. All right. Still doing it to this very day. Do a lot of commercial land deals with my mastermind group. Still doing house deals. Still active. Still creating. Still running a couple, 3 different businesses. And so to me, life is normal, except I have to do things out of my home. And now we're here in Florida. We can go out in restaurants and eat right now. So that's the only important thing. We can get to go out and eat right now. All right. Fire away, sir.
All right. Well, let me bring up one of our video questions first.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, Ron. It's Philly Dave calling from Philadelphia, the cradle of liberty. So since I live in a tri-state area, some of the leads that I get from the 2 counties I signed up for in the Gold Club's FISBO lead service are further away from me than the leads from South Jersey and Northern Delaware that I have my VAs also looking at. I want to be able to expand my real estate business, newly formed, into those states. My question is, can the LLC that I registered in Pennsylvania, where I live and have a business address, do business in those other 2 states without being registered there? Thanks.
Well, Dave, the answer is you're going to have to check with those 2 states on that because I know you can do business there without being registered there, but I'm afraid you might run into a tax issue with the states if they have a state tax. And you should check with actually, you might even be able to get that answer on Google, frankly. That's probably the fastest and the easiest way. So, I don't know the laws in all the states. However, I can tell you that doing it virtually is not a problem anymore. In fact, what day is it, Nick? We're going to do a whole 5-hour thing.
That's June 11th.
That's June 11th. We're going to do Thursday. That's 2 weeks, week from today.
No, it's 1 week, 1 week from today.
Okay. And it's free. So it's all about doing business in this COVID environment, which means virtually. And a lot of people are doing just exactly that. So what that does is open up a whole new world of doing business in other places without having to visit the houses. So it's, it's really cool. There's always positive something comes out of these catastrophes, and that's one of them. I'm going to change the way we do business for the better. Okay.
All right. Next question is from Arno Garan. I'm from California. I have a property under contract in Southern California with severe fire damage for $199,000. It's difficult for me to figure out the after repair value because it is a 2,900 square foot house, and the biggest house that's sold nearby is only 2,000 square feet. One for $850 and one for $800. There is a 2,700 square foot home that is not nearly as nice as this would be after being rebuilt on Zillow for 100 days. At $1.2 million. I sent a builder out there who sent me photos of the inside and recommended it be torn down and rebuilt and said he could do it for between $200,000 and $250,000 and it would take 6 months. I don't have experience rebuilding homes, but since most 3-2 homes in America are less than $200K retail, I'd imagine it costs less to build one that already has a foundation in place, even in Southern California. I'm thinking of assigning the contract and posted it on Craigslist, the MLS, and other places for $499. I got some people interested right away, but no serious offers except one guy.
Okay. Well, that's a good question. And first of all, I agree with it should be built, not rebuilt, because you'll never get that fire smell out of there. If you're going to rehab a fire burnt house, you got to take every single charred board out of that house or you'll never get the odor out of it. And by the time you rebuild that house, you probably will have more money in it than if you build another one. Fortunately for you, in California, they got this new rule called SB 330, which forces the city to give you higher density. I want you to consult with our mentor, Alton Jones, who will enlighten you on that because he's taken a regular house and he's building a building unit out of the garage. In other words, he's increasing the number of families that can live there, which greatly increases the value of the property. Get a hold of our office and we'll get you a phone number for Alton Jones. He's right in your backyard and he's doing what you want to do. I like your numbers. If you can get that house for $199, it sounds like it's going to be worth well over $1 million because you got 900, you got twice the square footage of the comps you're using. Now, if it's new, you might be able to put a duplex there, more than one unit there. So I think you got a killer deal working there. But if you want to wholesale it, so be it, because other people out there know what I just said to be true. In fact, Alton might even want to buy it. So get in here and get the number for Alton, and you guys have this discussion because he's really qualified for what you're talking about.
All right. Sounds like we do have a little caveat here to add one more thing. Within hours of getting off the phone call with the guy that he received the email from, someone who filed a lien on a property. I'm thinking the right thing to do is keep posting it for the same price until I find my buyer. Let them know that there's a lien that is in the process of being resolved.
Well, you didn't tell me how big of a lien, but that's a seller's problem, not your problem. If the seller's getting $199,000, that money's got to come out of their proceeds, not your proceeds.
Okay. All right. Now I got another video question for us.
Mm-hmm.
Hoboken, New Jersey. Thanks for taking my question. I wanted to ask you if you could explain when you're negotiating with a term seller about something I've heard you say a few times on your videos about making your first payment to them 30 days or 60 days after you close. Could you explain that in more detail?
Yeah.
And the other question that I had was about allowing them to stay in the house for a few months after you close.
Okay.
Are you paying them every month during that time period?
The first question was about the 2 or 3 months before we make the first payment, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I never address that on the telephone. I don't even talk about that till we get into the house. Don't be giving the seller all reasons to say no before you even get a chance to talk to them face to face and give them a chance to say yes. I only discuss that when I'm sitting down writing the contract because, frankly, it's a moot point until we're ready to write a contract. If we don't have an oral agreement on everything else, no reason to bring that up. So when I'm writing a contract, I just tell them, all right, today is whatever it is, and you're going to be living in the house till the end of the month. Okay, my payments will begin in the third month after you're out of the house. And then I'll let them respond. Okay, there's only two things they can say, okay, which is usually what they say, or why so long? And then, of course, you need to be ready to answer the objection because I need time to find somebody to put in this house that I think can get it qualified and cash us both out. And my experience tells me that takes a little time to weed through all of the people who I don't want in here to get to the one that we should want in your lovely home. Would you agree? Okay. And the second question was what, Nick? I can't even remember. See, it's a good thing you called.
If we continue to pay them during that time.
Okay. Look, many times the seller needs to stay in the house after you buy it. Like maybe they're building another house. Maybe they're trying to find another house for whatever reason. I don't care. Now, please don't think I'm going to make their payment while they're sitting there for free. That ain't going to happen. So let's say the seller, like I just did one of these the other day. Let's say the seller wants to stay in the house for about 3 months after you close. Well, fine. They keep making their own payment. I'll buy it today. I'll close on it within a few days. I'm an advocate of closing as fast as you can close to protect the deal. So I'll go ahead and close on it, but they will make their own payment until they're out, and they'll keep making them for 2 to 3 months after they're out based on what I just discussed. So the bad news is I can't collect my big front end deposit right now, but what I care? Just wait for that big paycheck. But in the meantime, by letting them stay in the house, if they need to, you've got a buying feature that no owner occupant is going to allow them to do. So it's a big plus to get them to sell you the house over anyone else because they get to stay in it after they're out. And while you're at it, make sure you tell them, well, hey, if you got, leave furniture in here, just go ahead and leave it. You don't have to move it on. I'll take care of it. And you'll be surprised what they'll leave. They leave all kinds of good stuff.
Okay. Go ahead and continue, John.
And then a similar question to find a buyer, right? I've heard you mention that before, and I was wondering if you are paying them every month during that time period. So if you can explain those scenarios, that would be really helpful. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Okay. When I put a tenant buyer in a house, I collect the first month's rent up front the day they get the keys, and they start making the rent from that point. If I buy a house and I've got to go find a tenant buyer, remember, we just said that's why I'm getting 2 to 3 months before my payment starts. So if I buy a house and I can't find a buyer within 2 or 3 months, then it is true, you will be making the payments. Now, you're not going to be legally obligated, but you're morally obligated. That's what you said you were going to do because I'm not going to allow you to guarantee any debt. But just the same, you should make those payments. But if you can't find that tenant buyer within that couple of months, something is wrong with your process, and that needs to be looked at heavily and get fixed. But yeah, you would have to come out of the pocket and make the payment. But remember, we're not really selling that house. We're actually just renting the house to someone. You could always lower the down payment requirement. You could always straight rent it if you had to. There's always a way to fix it. Okay.
All right. So to recap, you just you agreed to do what you agreed to do.
Yeah.
If you negotiated 2 to 3 months after the seller moves out, you don't start making payments until 2 to 3 months after the seller moves out, regardless of if you get somebody in there or if you're still looking for a buyer or whatever.
That's correct. And where do you think that attitude came from? Okay. I made an awful lot of payments on houses that I shouldn't have because I didn't understand. Hey, let's put the risk back on the seller where it belongs.
Okay. One other thing you mentioned on his first question was that you don't talk about making the next few payments until you're in front of them. How would you handle that now in a virtual environment? At what point would you do that?
I talk about it when they bring it up. So if in this case, you got to fill out the contract and email it to them after you have an oral agreement. And I just write it in there in paragraph 2B or on the paragraph 18 with the stuff that you add on and let them bring it up. And if they bring it up, it's the same explanation that I gave earlier. And be surprised. Most of the time, they don't even bring it up. It's a condition of my purchase. I'm not asking for it. I'm telling them, basically, this is how I'm going to buy your house. And that is the difference right there, is your attitude about how you present it. If there's the least bit of begging in your voice, you're going to have flack on it.
All right. Next question is from Craig in Nevada. I'm new to this concept and I have some questions. I'm looking to do something, but want to understand what I'm getting into and how to get out or what options exist in taking gains or asset value and converting it into other investment or opportunities. So if I'm looking to be a short time investor, say 5 to 10 years, what's the plan to get out, cash out, or convert the investment into cash and to avoid taxes or move on to other options?
All of that in one question, huh?
Well, okay. He elaborates some too, going more into it, but I figure I'd stop if you want to comment.
Well, first of all, there's one good thing about real estate. You can always get out. And if you use my 1031 exchange program, well, that's going to get you no taxes, but all that does is add more properties to your portfolio. So you're not going to get out. If you actually want to cash out of these properties, it's not going to be tax-free unless you're doing it in your Roth IRA. It's the only way to do it tax-free. Or your solo 401k. Both of those are tax-free entities that you can do business in. They come with rules, though. But your question is so loaded. It could go multiple different ways. If you're in the business of buying, rehab, and retailing, you're cashing out anyway. You can quit anytime you want. You're in the same thing with wholesaling. But I like the terms business. I'm building wealth, building a portfolio of properties with people in it that take care of it and spend their own money, do the repairs, and give me a bunch of money to get in the thing to begin with. And I got a big monthly cash flow. All right. So I just have to decide when I want to convert those tenant buyers to cash sales. And that'll take a while because they're all under leases. And when those leases expires, then you can decide if you want to just put it on the market. I list them with Realtor if I want to cash out of them. So it really doesn't take that long to sell them. Your plan is going to depend on how you buy the properties to begin with and, your own personal business needs.
Okay. So you had mentioned 1031 exchanges. So he asked, can 1031 exchanges also be executed in this idea if you're trying to consolidate your investment asset pool and overcome multi-state ownership issues, taxes, travel, and expense issues?
You can take a whole bunch of houses and exchange them into a shopping center if you want to, something like that. And frankly, never pay taxes as long as you maintain that real estate you've exchanged into. The minute you cash out of it, you're going to pay taxes. Fortunately, long-term capital gains, though, which is 15 to 20%, depending on tax bracket you're in.
All right. And then he says long-range planning. Are there trust plans that should be considered as vehicles for the protection of this type of operation?
Absolutely. Okay. If you want to know about that stuff, get our Structuring Your Empire course that I taped over a 2-day period with my attorney right beside me, because that answers all of those questions for you on trust and how to take title and how to own entities. It's all about asset protection, entity structuring, tax reduction, and it's cheap. Get a hold of our office. You want to post our phone number up there somewhere?
I can. If you want to say it, it's 800-567-8255. 6128. 800 567 6128.
Okay. Tell him you were watching this, and Ron said give him you a good deal. It's audios and videos, by the way, and it comes with a manual. And it even comes with a form you fill out and send it to me. Tell me how you're structured, and I'll get you back some information on what I think you ought to change.
All right. And then just to wrap up his question, I think you've pretty much covered it, but I'm looking to do something, but need to also understand where I'm going and how to unwind or convert to another possible investment consideration or retirement fund. What are smart pathways to do this?
Well,